Okay, it is nice to see everyone's faces. Good afternoon. Super excited to be here and join your meeting. Thank you for allowing me in your space today. I know some of you may have received emails from me when I joined the CJC RJ team, but just to put a face to my name, I am Amani Brown. I was assigned as the program analyst and grant coordinator for the RJ grant over at CJC in January. I also co-coordinate the NPACS and treatment court programs, but RJ is my focus program. My background is just a little summary in business, criminal justice. Previously, I was a judicial assistant at the Lane County Circuit Court, and my judge at the time oversaw the treatment court programs. And then I have also just worked with various nonprofits throughout my career, and I continue to do so on a volunteer basis whenever I can. I know that when there's a new face to take over a program, there may be some concerns or questions that come up for grantees. So I really just wanted to join your space today to introduce myself, offer a little bit of transparency into the work that the RJ team has been doing at CJC since I took over, as well as just to kind of stress that I'm here to learn from you all. You're the ones doing the work, and I'm here to be a resource as best as I can. Okay, so I want to start off by saying a lot of the work that I'm going to speak about and go over today is still in progress. So this will just be a very high level overview of what the work that we're doing looks like. I will say that our current focus has been to create a more consistent data collection and reporting process. We're working on strengthening community partnerships through input and feedback from grantees, subject matter experts, and just really using what we learn and hear to better understand what the community needs are so that we can enhance the resources that we're providing to grantees in our program. And then, although these are three separate areas of focus on this slide, we do understand that they're all interconnected to each other. So we're just making sure to keep each of these areas of focus in mind as we're working on the others. So just to go a little bit into detail of what exactly improving the data collection process is looking like right now. Right now, a big topic of conversation when I took over was data collection. At CJC, part of our job is to have a solid understanding of the programs that we're funding so that when we are showcasing what restorative justice looks like in Oregon, we're correctly communicating the models that RJ programs are using and the demographics that our funded programs are serving. Currently, CJC is missing the mark on that, and we do recognize that. So, to improve, we're working on developing a more standardized approach to data collection while also keeping in mind and recognizing that there are various models that are used in each of the RJ programs that we fund. And so we're keeping that in mind while also trying to create a little bit of structure that we can get so that we can get a good idea on what it looks like for each of the programs. So to move forward, we're going to be moving all of our data reporting to SM Apply rather than the spreadsheets that we previously sent out to programs. I'm sure you're all familiar with SM Apply, which is the system that you use for quarterly reporting. So from now on, each quarter as a part of the quarterly reporting, you're going to go in and also input de-identified data which we're going to take to analyze to try to gain a full picture of the RJ services and supports that are being offered throughout the RJ programs in Oregon. On our team, we do have an assigned researcher who assists our programs team to ensure that the questions that we are asking the programs to report is actually going to assist in showing us the full picture. And we have also had the opportunity to collaborate and gather feedback from RJCO on the drafts of our questions, just to be sure that we are also getting input from outside of the CJC on what we're going to be asking of grantees. In July, we are going to pilot a smaller scale data collection to allow grantees to get familiar with the new process of data reporting. And we're also going to host a meeting at the beginning of the quarterly reporting to just allow for any feedback once you see the questions or ask us any questions or clarifying. And we're going to use that to improve on the data collection that we do for the next quarterly reporting, which will have the full size of questions that we're going to be asking. But we will be sharing more information soon. We are still going through the approval process. There are many voices that we're hearing and feedback we're taking and going and making improvements as we can. I know that it's getting close to the quarterly reporting, but we just want to make sure that we're getting this right as much as we can. Before I move on, are there any questions that I can answer about what I spoke of on this slide with the data collection process that we're trying to develop? So our next area of focus has been to work on strengthening the partnerships that CJC has with the RJ community. I knew that coming in, being new, there were going to be experiences and stories that I wouldn't know about, and there was going to be a clear need that I needed to gather feedback and hear from all of those voices during the process. So, what we've done is we have sent out surveys to grantees and members of the GAC to allow for a chance for everyone to provide feedback on the solicitation process that happened this funding cycle. We've definitely received some useful information and feedback from those responses, and we are looking at those answers to use as we look forward at improving and making changes to those future funding cycles. And then additionally, I understand that we controlled the questions of the surveys, and there may be feedback that programs want to offer to us that we didn't allow for in that space. So to offer a chance for additional feedback and to allow CJC to have a better understanding of the work that you're all doing, we have scheduled site visits as well. And those are going to be scheduled from the end of June through July. The good news is I know I bugged a ton of people with emails asking for responses on availability. We did receive responses from all of the grantees at this point. So I anticipate that the dates that we are going to request for site visits with the programs are going to be emailed out to you all by the middle of next week. So we really are planning to use those site visits as a time to get to know all of the employees, volunteers, all of the pieces of the puzzle to your grant program, get an understanding of how your program works, and really just putting on our listening ears and giving you all the floor to share with us feedback that we maybe not have been able to receive so far. I know even working on just the grant questions, I've gotten some really valuable feedback that has helped me to see it from a different lens that with me not being doing the work, I'm not going to have that information. And then lastly, we're working on making connections with community organizations who may be providing services to RJ participants, as well as system partners that may be partnered with RJ programs and providing referrals. We are always open to any connections you think we should be making. So don't ever hesitate to send me an email if there's someone you think we should connect with. We've gotten some emails, and that has been extremely helpful for me to make those connections. And then once again, I just want to pause a moment if there are any questions or feedback or comments at this time before I move on to the next slide. And it is going to be the last one. Very quick for me today. I don't want to do a ton of talking. So this slide is pretty self-explanatory. Some things that came up from those survey responses that I mentioned, as well as our team discussions, is just that we really need to create as many resources as we can to make the process as clear and transparent as possible. We're working on templates like pre and post surveys. We're considering office hour times to allow for grantees to come in and ask questions as needed. And then we're also just developing resource guides. For instance, with the data collection process, we are creating a data dictionary so that it's clear and defined what we are requesting when we're asking questions. for those metrics. And this part is really just going to be an ongoing focus for as we're standardizing processes and changing things, we want to make sure that we're considering what resources are necessary for programs to make sure that the lift on the grantee side is made as easy as possible. So I don't have much information on this side. As we move forward, we're going to be sending out the templates that we make. If there is a specific resource that we haven't offered or TA that you would be interested in, like I said, I'm going to have my email on the next screen and I can email out these slides. I love to talk, certified chatter. So feel free to send me an email, give me advice, ask me questions. If I don't have the answer, I'll look for it and I'll always be honest with you on that. But with that, that is the end of my presentation. So I just kind of want to open the floor and feel free to ask me questions about what I presented on. If you have maybe some other questions or comments you would like to share, that works as well. I may not have all of the answers with not having my full team with me, but I'm always happy to take down questions and get back to you at a later time for those as well.
I have a comment, not a question, but just wanted to let everyone here know that Amani has been taking on a lot, stepping into this role as the new analyst for the RJ Grant program. And I've been really impressed by how deep she has dove into just like learning about the history of this, watching past recorded meetings, soliciting feedback. And I am anticipating such field that we are in. Just a much more collaborative environment with the Criminal Justice Commission. And so, I know you've received emails from her, surveys, meeting invites, all of that stuff. And if you've been in a meeting with me, you've probably heard me say, you should reach out to Amani. She's looking for feedback. But I just wanted to just give credit where credit is due. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how this all plays out. The Restorative Justice Grant Program is still relatively new, and there were several years where we had the same number of applications that we had funding for, and that was great. And I think we all know that when we didn't have that situation, it was really, really rocky. And so there's a lot of lessons to be learned. And, I think that we can expect another really difficult budget environment in 2027. And Scott and I and the Community Action and Advocacy team are wading through that difficulty. But we have to anticipate the fact that we're going to enter another difficult budget cycle and potentially have another grant application process where we don't have all of the funds needed to cover all of the applications. And so getting feedback from programs on how that process can go smoother, or even just what didn't work and what didn't feel good, so that Amani and her team can work around that, is really important. And the last thing I'll say is just I've been really impressed as well about the efforts to create a smoother data collection process. I am not a data person at all. I am an organizer, get everybody in the room who actually knows what they're talking about kind of person to facilitate conversations. And so I always am very excited to see when folks are emailing and giving feedback on the surveys. And yeah, Amani's a great resource. Happy to have you here. Thank you so much for presenting.
Thank you so much, Tristan. I appreciate all of your kind words. Any other?
What? Well,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot for showing up. And um, I might have been spacing out a little bit, but like which type of question are are you seeking from us, or like what part of this are you hoping for any specific engagement on while you're here in our group?
Yeah, so I didn't come with any specific feedback that I was looking for. I really just wanted to introduce myself and hear from you guys. I presented simply so you all know what's going on behind the scenes because I know a lot of the time we fund and then we disappear for a while until we ask you to submit quarterly reporting. So, really, if you hated the idea of structured data organization and you have a better idea of how it's going to go, if you are fearful of something with the program and you would like to be heard, um, really, it sounds like it's just me on here today. So I just came to listen to you all. Sounds like
Gotcha.
that's needed.
Yeah, that's a helpful prompt. Thanks.
Hmm.
I mean, I think this might be in the works, but something that would help us actually if many grantors were doing this, but would be to um, receive the full set of questions that will be in the reporting before we log into the portal and just start seeing them page by page. Because once in a while, when there have been changes, then there can be surprises, a few pages deep. And um, we're not going to point any fingers, but some of us might actually do those kind of at the last minute. And so the opportunity to prepare ahead of time would be really useful. And and not knowing everything about how you all work back there, it seems like it ought to be pretty achievable. But I think I've just worked with a couple grant admins who um, sort of didn't notice or recognize that just having the whole form ahead of time as a blank would help us prepare to submit.
That's extremely helpful. And I will say Scott has been one of the amazing folks who has sent me some feedback. And just for that feedback that you gave me before, Scott, I have a companion document that I want you to be able to print out a PDF and kind of write your numbers on so that when
Hmm.
you go into the reporting, you can just enter those numbers because it's going to be
Hmm.
like counts and averages and percentages.
Cool.
Once you see it, you give me feedback, but I have also
Cool,
received
cool.
that comment in other grants as well, and I'm someone who is old school and likes to write on paper, so I would agree that that's probably helpful than guessing what the next question is going to be.
Mhm.
I
Well,
just, oh,
Amy.
I was just gonna say, I appreciate meeting with you. I know, my colleague Carly has gotten the chance to interact with you, but yeah, I think it goes without saying that it was a wild ride this last grant cycle, and I know like a lot of big feelings just in the RJ community in general, and um, you know, I think probably trust is like low, and you're coming in, and I can tell that you're trying to rebuild that and have like an open door policy, so. Just appreciate that and know too that like, this is one setting, obviously, where even between the programs, right, we're gonna hopefully build more collective like energy and goodwill after what was kind of a rough go, I think.
Definitely. Thank you for that. And I fully expect there to be some conversations that have to be had, and I hope that you all feel comfortable having them. And at least I'm a new face. You can tell me everything you feel. You don't have to feel uncomfortable. So yeah, I understand, and I'm here to listen for sure.
Thanks, Amani. I'll jump in because I might be the only one in the room who hasn't gotten an email from you, but I did take down your email address and I would love to set up a time to meet with you one-on-one.
Yeah, definitely. Shoot me an email and we'll get some dates on or a date on the calendar and have a meeting. I'd love to.
I'm excited that they have you in this new role and look forward to learning more.
Thank you. I'm excited as well. I'm fresh energy. My team, when I jumped in there, they were like, whoa, calm down. And I'm like, sorry, I'm new. I
I
don't
can
have
relate.
any.
Yeah.
So I hope that it comes across I'm excited, I'm ready to learn and hopefully be a resource in any way that I can. And I won't pressure anyone to, oh, Emily.
The question. Yeah, great to see you here. Thanks for your presentation and all of your communication. And I enjoy your excitement. I love new energy. You have to balance the new and the old and all of that. I was just wondering on the site visits, do you know who they're going to be comprised of yet? Maybe that'll come in the email next week, but since we're here.
Are you asking on the grant team or on the
Yeah,
CJ?
who will be visiting each site? Will it be the same people that visit each site, and how many will be visiting?
Yeah, so it'll be me for every site visit, and then either for the grantees that are a little further from me, will likely be just Rima and I, and for the closer ones will possibly be Avery will be with me. But I will definitely be there at everyone. And Eugene and Salem, I actually live in Eugene, so there's a good chance that the Eugene and Salem visits may just be me. But two max, I will say.
Thanks.
And I do believe that we received a question as to who we wanted to sit with at the site visits. I would really just say anyone who you feel has good feedback to give us kind of that perspective is welcome at the table. That's for you all to decide, and we'll be happy to meet anyone who's available. And we will have a few questions just to kind of get a grasp on the different models that are being used and just the different processes. But it's not going to be like a structured, like, boom, we're going to ask these questions and then we're going to leave. It's going to be, we're looking to build some rapport and get to know you all.
Thank you so much. Unless anybody else has any questions, I'll just give a quick community action and advocacy update. Scott and I are meeting with all of the programs, have met with a lot of you, and those meetings are going really great. And it's so awesome to hear what's happening with all of the different programs and really inspiring as well. So thank you. Just a quick update on kind of where we're at in terms of the process of trying to get funding for the Restorative Justice Grant Program for next year. We're in the kind of executive process. So the governor's office, the state agencies, those are the folks that we're communicating with now as the governor works on putting together her recommended budget, which isn't going to be released until December 1st. And so we've had really good collaboration and communication with the Criminal Justice Commission. I don't know exact numbers at this point, but I know that the budget for the CJC has been sent to the CFO for the state, who's reviewing all of the state agency budgets, and then we'll be communicating with state agencies, I think, throughout the next 2 months around finalizing policy option packages and what the budget is going to look like so that those recommendations can be made to the governor's office. Obviously, the other really big component of this is talking to legislators. And so one of the things that Scott and I have been asking all of the programs as we've been meeting is any kind of advocacy material that you have put together, whether it's a video or a list of testimonials or a letter of support that you received for something else entirely. We would love to see any kind of advocacy material that's been put together or any promotional material for your program. Don't worry about needing to package it in a way that is for the legislature. We can take care of that. We're just trying to get as much information as possible so that we can start putting together our advocacy materials. The other piece of that is obviously, data from the CJC that's compiled across all of the different programs is going to be something that we're all still working on as Amani finalizes the data collection and all of that stuff that the state agency is going to do that Scott and I are not going to worry about right now. But we are looking for any kind of meaningful data. I'm going to send out an email later well, probably not this week, maybe next week or the week after. After we're done meeting with all the programs, I'm going to send out an email and provide just like a list of the things that we're looking to happen to have from you all. And one of the one pagers that we used in the past for when we didn't have like aggregated program data, to give an example of kind of what data points can be helpful, impactful when we're having those conversations with legislators. And the very last thing that I'm going to say, and then we can maybe end this meeting early, is one piece of advice that we received from Rep Choatson, who is our champion, is that it is a good idea and very helpful if programs will, sometime between now and the fall, invite their local legislators to their program to tell them about how restorative justice operates in their program, to give one or two success stories, to thank them for the funding from last session, and let them know that, our ask this coming session is, of course, to be funded again. I know that this inviting of legislators can be challenging for places like Center for Mediation and Dialogue that sits within a city office. I think everybody who works at the dispute resolution centers at this point has met Louis DeSitter, who's the lobbyist for Resolution Oregon. And so there's a lot of really great collaboration there, and we're super lucky that RO has a dedicated lobbyist to kind of help with some of this legislative communication. So just lifting that up as another kind of resource when we're thinking about how can the individual programs be interacting with their specific legislators. And that's everything for me. I am not facilitating this meeting, so I will pass it to Michael to close us out.
Thanks, Tristan. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. This meeting was recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube probably before the end of the week. So if you want to rewatch or send it to someone who would be interested in watching, I'll provide the link. For now, I guess we can all hop off of mute and say goodbye to everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.